Talkin' Griz is sponsored by Brett Harris Insurance Company and Warriors and Quiet Waters. Thank you for watching.
All right, joining us today, very special guest. We have former Griz linebacker, Helena native, and now, I don't know, kind of a do-it-all guy at Montana, running the revenue, assistant AD, Marcus Wellno. Marcus, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Yeah, excited to get this podcast going. Brett Harris Insurance Company, the sponsor, as we're talking Brawl 2.0. I mean, there's so much, but I know we all kind of were thinking and hoping that this game might happen. How would you maybe just describe what the energy and what it's been like on campus this week?
Absolutely hoping for this to happen.
Yeah.
I mean, especially after, the first game went obviously not our way, then just seeing the bracket come live and saying, okay, if we do things right, they do things right, we can meet in the semifinals for this possible matchup again in Bozeman. We were all hoping for this, and we got our wish, we got what we wanted, so we got to take care of business now.
All right, I want to start kind of with your story and move up to now. I'm starting with the beginning. Growing up in Helena, Capital Bruin, how would you describe what the rivalry was like for you growing up and how you kind of watched it?
Yeah, I mean, it was so insane growing up, just the divide. Being in Helena, kind of right in between Bozeman and Missoula, you had kind of every fans from each side. And just growing up, I was always a Griz fan. So my family just kind of, from a very young age, they were Griz fans. So I just kind of had to step into that role and be a Griz fan. Mm-hmm. And obviously growing up in that, I was born in '98, and kind of those times where I'm watching football being played, that was kind of the Griz's, the glory days right there. Bobby Houck's first run of winning conference championships every year, being in the national championship every now and then. So it was kind of very easy to be a Griz fan, just saying kind of making fun of the Cat fans, you're a Cat fan, the Griz are winning all these games. It's super easy. So grew up a Griz fan forever in that family. And then I think once I started, realizing college football was going to be a thing for me, I was fortunate enough to be able to have that opportunity. Actually, the Cats were the first team that was recruiting me, so that was kind of how to make that mental switch of could I ever be a Bobcat? And then, we can go through the story, and obviously I chose to be a Griz, but there's a lot more to that.
Yeah, what was that like first off, what's it like when you first think that you're good enough and the colleges are reaching out to you and you're working so hard to do that, and it's something that, I think every local Montana kid wants to, that's their dream. So what was that like when you first realized hey, this could become a possibility?
Exactly, yeah. I mean, playing for the Griz as a little kid, that was always my dream. That was the highest level in Montana. There's no professional sports team around. The Griz are the highest level. So I was I want to do that. That's one of my goal. And so I would say my sophomore year, I kind of hit puberty my freshman year. So I was kind of, I was a bigger kid, then I was a smaller kid, and then I hit puberty, and I was okay, this could be a dream for mine. Yeah. And as a sophomore, I started in high school, and that was kind of the first year that coaches had started reaching out. A lot of the NAIA schools, and actually the Cats, like I mentioned, they reached out first. So once they had started talking to me and a lot of other college teams, I was this is something I could definitely do. And I obviously kept lifting, kept working harder to be able to earn the spot. And then later on, the Griz reached out. But once the coaches started reaching out to me, it's so fun in recruiting. Everyone's oh, we want you. You're the best. You're this. They talk you up so much, and then once you step on campus, it's nothing like that. But that stage was just so fun, where everyone's they wanted you so bad and would do anything to have you.
So what's that like when the Cats are recruiting you and you're kind of waiting? You're all right, Griz, come on, call me. Let's go. Let's get it going.
I know that's exactly what it was too. But it was. Because the Cats coach before was Ash.
Rob Ash.
Rob Ash. So it was his staff that was recruiting me. So that was super great. Just have one of the two schools talking to me. So they were, when I was a sophomore, talked to me a lot. And I was like you said, I was come on, Griz, make that call. I want to talk to you. And they were I don't know. So then I would say my junior year, that was with Stitt was still here. They finally kind of reached out, started talking to me, and that was awesome to be able to kind of have both schools. But at that time, the Cats had kind of more or less hadn't offered me, but I figured they were going to, and the Griz, I didn't know what that was going to look like, so I definitely was going both sides. And then later on, the Griz finally said, that was not until my senior year, the Griz finally was hey, we have a spot for you on the team. And so that's why I kind of held out on all NAIA schools, on the Cats, on everybody, because I was waiting for that spot for the Griz to give me. And once they said I had a spot on the team, I knew it was pretty easy. There was no decision to be made there. I was going to go to play for University of Montana.
Yeah, so I want to ask you this question, because a lot of people, I'm in Missoula, I cover the Griz, so I get attached to the relationships and getting to know you and a lot of the guys on the team, and I see, firsthand how hard you guys are working, and so then you pull for the players, right? But I think a lot of people think that, since I'm in Missoula, I'm just a fan of the Griz or whatever. But you realize that it's kind of the same thing on that side as well. So when you're growing up, right, you're obviously a diehard Griz fan. You're I hate the Cats. I'm going to go to the Griz. But then once you go through the recruiting process, you kind of see that both schools have things that are good. It's good. There's good people on either side. So you maybe separate from that the hatred of either side. But then once you pick the school, then it's like kind of right back to that
Exactly.
challenge. Like, how would you describe what that's like? And then now working for UM, I'm sure it's we don't like blue and gold.
Exactly.
At all,
It's so true. I mean, when you're going through that process, you kind of have to understand, like, there are good things about the other school. Like, in the mindset, like, no, there's nothing good about it. I would never do that. And then you're like, oh no, there are some things that possibly you have to, like, maybe I could play there, maybe I could do this. And there's a lot of good people. Like, I have a lot of really close friends that I met through all-star games or just growing up playing sports with each other, or like even high school friends that went on and played for the Cats or went to MSU. So just hearing from their experiences, and they're all good people. I mean, everyone from Montana, I think I have a lot of respect for, whether both schools they played at, obviously maybe a little bit more for the Griz, but if you're at the end of the day, if you're a Montana guy, you understand the pride and tradition that is to grow up in the state of Montana, play for either of the schools. So it's definitely a lot when you're going through them, but then like you said, once you decide and once you put on the blue and gold or put on the maroon and silver, like, you're on one side for the rest of your life. You're going back and forth.
How is that like instilled upon you? Like maybe like is it from the coaching staff? Is it like just the players kind of rally together to like, and that hatred kind of, or respect of hating the other team grows? Like, how would you describe how it's instilled?
I would say the coaches a little bit, but by far and away the players. Yeah. Just the minute you step on campus, obviously being a Montana guy, I knew about the rivalry. I knew about the hatred. They didn't really have to convince me of much. But some of those out-of-state guys that come, they don't really understand what it is. From day one, the players letting you know, like, hey, that game at the end of the year, that one means more. Yeah. And just the continued hatred of not saying their name, who they are, like just kind of just it's instilled on you day one that game means way more. And the fans, I mean, the first thing fans usually say to you, like when you're new, like, hey, that team across the hill, we don't like them. Like, it's just day one, they let you know you hate those guys.
And it's almost like when you're having to like teach those guys about it, it kind of like reinforces the hate for yourself, right? I want to ask how, because you were one of the the pros as far as not saying anything that you shouldn't say. You were very good in interviews to the media and stuff, and everyone says, hey, we approach it like every other game, blah blah blah. But I do kind of call BS on that a little bit. How would you describe that? Because everyone right now, we're hearing all the players this week say, we're approaching it like another game, and they're saying all the right things, but like it's not. Like we all know it's not, and I don't think that that's necessarily the case.
Yeah, no, it's definitely not. I mean, you kind of got to convince yourself that it is, because if you make it more than it is, sometimes you can mess up your preparation and your emotions and stuff like that. But truly, this game means so much more than every other game. I mean, obviously, the record, you beat someone else, it's a win. You beat these guys, it's a win. Like, but at the end, like this one means so much more to the state of Montana, to your team, to your guys. Like this one means so much, and to do it twice in a season, to have the opportunity to have a rematch and go back and over to their place, this one means a lot. Even though the guys, even when I was in the shoes, like you try to not take it too much in, because there's so much emotion behind this game that if you let that emotion build up even more than even it will be at game time, it could almost crush someone. So it's like, how can you mentalize all the stuff that you got going on and just go out there and play fast and physical?
Yeah, for sure. How would you describe like what the actual game is like in playing in it? Like, does it feel like once the kickoff goes, does it feel bigger? Like, is there more trash talk? Is it like, how would you describe like what it is like once it gets going?
Way more trash talk, just because it's unique and fun in the fact that I knew most of the guys I played against. Like a lot of times when you go play like another conference team, like I've never met those guys. I don't really know them. I've maybe done an interview with two, but like I know that guy's background. I know his girlfriend. I know his history. I know everything about him. Like it's a lot of talking and banter back and forth the entire game, and just the fans. You can feel the energy throughout the whole game. Like a lot of times, not to pick on Cal Poly is the first school I thought of. Like a lot of teams and fans don't have.
It's just not the same.
It's just not the same. And you feel the emotion throughout the entire game. There's no drop off of like, oh, the fans are like this. Like it's the entire game. It's at the top for the fans, for the players, everybody. Like and it's just both teams have been good as of late. So like one mistake in the game could cost you the entire game. So there's just no messing up. The emotions are high. So much talking back and forth, and just knowing that wherever that score is going to be at the end of the game, it's going to matter for a lot of people for an entire year, and it's going to affect your entire life.
Yeah. I'll ask you this now, and then if nothing pops in your head, you can think about it as we keep going. But are there any stories from the Brawl of the Wild that kind of like exemplify like how heated it is that you remember over the years?
I can think about that. I might be able to think of a better one, but the first thing that popped in my head was when we played them in 2021, when we beat them at home. Going into the half, there was like 30 seconds left. I don't know what someone's going to look and probably see what the exact time was, but there's some time left, and instead of them running the ball, they decided to take a knee and not like take a chance to run it at all. And just once they took a knee there, we feel like the game was kind of over. They didn't want to continue to run, and the amount of talking we did to them as they were going into the sideline was just something to be a part of. It was it was a lot of fun. It's like we would have never done that to any other team. Like they would have taken their knee, we would have ran in there and just been fine. But just the banter that we gave them, and that they gave it back to us too. It was fun going in the locker room.
Yeah, maybe that going into half of that Eastern playoff game got a little riled up too. Now that I think about it,
it did. Yeah.
I think the one thing that I think fans know and realize it, but they can't fully understand it, is how much it means to you guys and how much is on you when you lose or when you win. Like how would you describe, like, you're the number 37. I know how much it means for you guys to try and win that game for the state of Montana, for the fans of the Griz. How would you describe like the feeling of not winning that game?
Oh, it's hard to describe. It's a major letdown. Like, because like the state of Montana, like all the Griz fans, everyone, all your family, friends, teammates, like there was so much pressure on you to win that game and to be that person to help your team win that game. And to not win that game is just, it hurts. And it hurts for a long time. It's going to hurt probably for the rest of my life of like, I didn't win that specific game. Like I wish I could have won that game. And it's just so much that you have to wear. And like, that's what makes this game so great, is that if you don't win, you have to remember that for the rest of your life. And those guys did win. It's the same thing in like just a little high school rivalries. Like I beat the Bengals every single time I played them. So I remember, and I tell those guys like, hey, I beat you in that. Like I think that one's such a lower scale. You can kind of like, make fun of someone for that. This is such a big scale that I don't think either one of us wants to like say something, because it might end in a fight. Yeah. No matter where we are.
So how do you handle, like, for the guys right now, like you lose that game and then you get another rematch with them? How do you? I mean, that's a lot of emotions, right?
Yeah.
You lose the game and it's like, but we saw, they went on the bye and then have played their, best football moving forward. Like, how do you think emotionally it is, like, going into this week and coming off of that loss?
I think they got to be so excited because this is the only team in both sides that have had the opportunity to kind of avenge a loss in the same season. Most teams, you take that loss, you have to wait a whole 365 days to be able to go out there and kind of avenge what you did or make that wrong right. And now they have the 4 weeks. They're going to be able to go back out there and do what they want to do. So I'm excited for them. I think they got to be absolutely juiced up to be able to do it. But like you said, it's a lot of emotion because with being the competitor, I think I would want to like go out there and try beating that team, but also they have, no one really wants to say it, but like they could lose again on Saturday very easily. So like if they go out there and lose twice to them in a season, that would hurt probably a lot more than just losing once. So there's a lot on the line here on Saturday. That's what makes this game so much fun. And also, we're not even talking about it. There's a national championship on the line. Yeah. To the state of Montana, we're just talking about the Brawl of the Wild. I mean, that almost matters more than going to the national championship. So there's so much on the line this weekend, just the emotions. And that's I hope that I think our team's going to do a good job of just that emotion that they're going to have, just be able to play well, play fast, not let the game get too big.
How is Coach Hauk with that? Because I feel like one of his, I'm not in there, I don't know, but from what I've been able to observe, I feel like one of his strengths as a coach is getting guys kind of, mentally prepared and mentally ready for a game and using any motivation possible. Maybe I'm wrong, I don't know. Like, what are your thoughts on how Coach Hauk is able to get a team ready for a big game?
No, I think he does a good job. There's definitely a lot of easy stuff that, from the last game that he can show to the team this week, showing like, hey, what happened last week, what they did after the game, different things like that, just to get them juiced up and fired up. I think he's done such a good job of throughout the years he doesn't really need to get us so amped up because we're just wired that way of we don't need a whole lot of big pregame speech. There's none of this to go into the battle knowing it's time to go, we're ready to go. Obviously, he does a good job getting us to that point. But there's also that a little bit of not going over the top. If you get someone too fired up, then they can't play their assignment, do what they need to do. So he does a great job taking us to exactly where we need to be and then going into battle right where we need to be, right at that right level.
Yeah. I can almost guarantee that some of the Cats players that were rubbing their cleats in the end zone and stuff, that those videos are going to be out there playing in the locker room for sure on a loop. Obviously, with we talked about the national championship game on the line too, and I think whoever wins this game too, just with how the other side of the bracket is going to be favored in the national championship game, which has not been the case for these Montana schools as of late. It's always going against a really good South Dakota State or a really good North Dakota State team, so that adds that extra layer into it. What do you think X's and O's wise from a player perspective when you're playing within like a 3-week span? Mm-hmm. It's kind of like the cat and mouse game, right? Like, do we do what went well, or like do we think that they're going to try and stop what we did well, so then we got to do something that didn't work but that they might count? Like, it's a weird cat and mouse game for sure, right? Like,
there's so much of that. It's like just like you said, like, okay, this worked well against us, so we're going to definitely change. But they're like, okay, well, maybe they think that we're going to change, so maybe we're not going to change. We're going to do this. So it's going to be a lot of both teams kind of having their script of the first plays of the game to see how the other team lines up. I mean, offensively, both teams are going to have their script, getting different formations, have different motions, run different concepts to see, okay, how are they playing this? How do they plan on attacking us for this game versus what they did last game? There's just going to be a lot of good coaching going forward. Okay, how we're going to take those first few drives and we're going to see how we want to plan on attacking them the next few drives, because the Griz could come out with something completely different that the Cats aren't aware of, so they got to make a change, or vice versa. So there's going to be a lot of good coaching going on back and forth to figure out like what those concepts are in these different schemes. And as a player, you kind of think about that too, like, okay, that really worked well for them last time. How are we going to stop that? Well, maybe they don't even run that because they know that we're going to do our entire game plan around that. But it's just kind of going in knowing that there's all these different options and possibilities, and the coaches are going to, on both sides, are going to do a great job getting the guys lined up in the right position. It's just going to be about who can make those plays at the end of the day.
Let's talk about maybe Montana first offensively. You know, obviously the short passing game, they was working to perfection in that first matchup. What do you think about how they match up on offense going up against Cats in the season?
You know, I'm going to be biased, obviously, because I'm a Griz guy, so I'll say that and I'll just preface that. But I like how they match up. I mean, I think the strength of that Bobcats team is their D-line. I think they're really, really good. So being able to, I think that's kind of why we used a lot of those short passes in that game, just because knowing, like, you know, obviously, you know, deeper routes can kind of attack the secondary a little bit more, but with the strength of their D-line getting to our quarterback, I think they utilized a lot of short passes, getting the ball out of Ayot's hands really quickly, be able to have the receivers have some room, make some plays in space. You know, obviously, I haven't talked to the coaches. I have no idea what they're planning on doing, but I could definitely see them doing something similar like that, possibly taking more shots. But kind of you look at the strength of the Griz offense is, I think, are just our skill positions. Ayot, Gilman, all of our receivers. Obviously, our O-line is great, but I think if you look at the skills, it's getting those guys the ball in their hands with some space and letting them make plays.
Well, I feel like, you know, we watched it with Stephen F. Austin. They were spreading them out and able to kind of dice up the defense when they were able to block up front. Obviously, though, when you spread them out, you know, Iden got a couple sacks working one-on-one in those situations. But, yeah, Montana was able to move the ball, so we'll see if they can do that. I think weather, too. I think if the weather is good, I know we might get a little bit of morning snow, who knows, but I think if the weather's good, that might help Montana a little bit.
I think so too. I mean, just like in what we like, I mean, we're really good at, like we were just talking about, passing the ball, doing stuff like that. So if we're able to, if the weather's nice and Ayot's able to spin it all around the field, I think that helps us a lot and benefits us. So normally I would say in these games we wanted the super snowy and play, but playing those guys over in Bozeman, they're used to the snow too. So it's not like it's not going to be that much of a benefit to us, but getting the ball in space and limiting their strength of their D linemen, not allowing them to get space and having our O-line do a good job blocking them, that's going to be a huge key to a Griz victory.
All right, now to your expertise side of the ball. On defense, I've made this comment a couple times throughout the year, and I think I might have to change the comment now, but I was saying that, like, if some of the Montana teams of the past that went on runs, like the 2023 team, 2021, I was like, man, if they had, like, the explosive offense that this team has, paired with that defense, they'd be real, like, they'd be a true national title contender. We're seeing, though, the defense improve over the last few weeks, though. But what are you seeing defensively? And you know, it's been a struggle, kind of stopping Montana State's consistent rushing attack over the years, but I thought they played pretty well in the last matchup.
Absolutely, yeah, they played well in the last matchup, and they played well the last 2 weeks. I think a lot of it's getting some guys back. Yeah. Obviously, Loud and Tolbert coming back has helped us a lot. And I think just with that Loud coming back, it's allowed us to kind of play more to traditionally who we are, which is we're going to get after you. We're going to blitz you a lot. We're going to do a lot of different things. So I think when he was out and our secondary was kind of a little bit banged up, played a little bit more conservatively than the Griz have in the past. I think that allowed us to not be true to who we are and kind of get gashed in some different things, maybe run the ball a little bit too much. But now that we're kind of back to full strength as we should be, I think we're attacking, we're playing fast, we're playing physical, and in the last 2 games, they played really well. I mean, start off that South Dakota game, not giving a first down till at what point in the second quarter, so they were playing fast and physical. I think there was maybe a little bit of, like, once you're up 24-0, kind of play a little bit more conservatively again, not let any big plays happen, because that's really how you win the game. It's like if they're going to just nickel and dime you down the field, then they're going to waste too much time to be able to win the game. I think we got a little conservative. We'll let them score some points, but we just continue attacking. I think we're playing really well right now.
There's so much talk about this style of defense going up against that style of offense. and the matchups that it creates. How would you describe like what like the 3-3-5 matchup against like a running team like that, and like what are some of the advantages, but also maybe what are some of the disadvantages?
Yeah, it's definitely the advantages. I'll start there. It's like creates a different scheme, a different view for the offensive linemen and tight ends and who are blocking. Because normally, if you're used to seeing a 4-3 or a 3-4, your coaches are very used to, okay, you're going to block down, block here, you're going to pull here. This guy is going to line up in a shade, do different stuff. So you kind of understand that. When you're lining up against a 3-3-5, most defenses don't run that, so it's very more or less confusing for these offensive linemen. Be like, okay, well, he's stunting here, he's lined up here. Like, it's very new and different for them. So if teams can't do a good job film studying or everything like that, they can get really confused and we can overwhelm them with our movement and where we line up. But obviously, a team that's been studying us all year long, like I'm sure they have, and they know exactly where we're going to be. I think that advantage kind of is not really there for us anymore. But just being able to kind of fill another guy in the box, play it. But the disadvantages of obviously a 3-3-5 are we have one more secondary guy and one less guy kind of traditionally in the box. Obviously, you can come down and play in the box, but traditionally he's not there. You got to have some really good linebackers and defensive linemen if you're going to stop their run game with one less guy in the box. So yeah. I think that's what's hurt us in the past sometimes is we have one less guy in the box, and they know that. I mean, they study us, and so they bring one more in. They bring some heavy packages in. They're going to load it up in there, and then we're not going to bring in a heavy guy. So then they say, all right, we're going to line up our heavy package versus your lighter package. We're just going to completely run the ball down your throat the entire game. So I think we've done a good job, especially after what happened in 2022 and 2023, kind of realizing that, kind of running a little bit different offense, knowing that they're just going to try running the ball down our throat because of the defense we run. Being able to line up some different things and do some different things that actually really help stop their run. But then, we do that in 23, and then 24, they're like, okay, this is what they're going to do. Just the cat and mouse game we talked about earlier, like, okay, we know they're going to do this. Now here's how we're going to stop that. So then they're able to run on us. And so it's just continually going back and forth and changing how we're going to run our defense versus what they do on offense.
Yeah, it's fascinating. And I won't let you comment on it, but my biggest frustration with the defense over the years is just kind of like the lack of different like personnel packages. Like I would love to see, when there's times where teams just kind of running the ball on you over and over again, like let's get 5 down linemen. Let's take a safety out, but you don't have to comment on that. That'll just be my criticism of the defense over the years. I want to ask you though, I think where Montana State really exploited Montana on that side of the ball was Lamson running.
Yep.
And it was especially on, they obviously had the read option stuff where he would gash up the middle. Mm-hmm. But really, when they got him into some 3rd and long situations, he was able to escape the pocket and run.
Yep.
How can you kind of stop that? How can you contain that? I think they had a spy on him once, but it was more of like a bigger linebacker, not someone as fast. So I don't know. To me, that's kind of the key. Like I feel like if you can get them into passing situations, but then not let Lamson escape and make him try and beat you with the arm, I think that's an important.
No, exactly. I think you hit it right. Like when you talk about the quarterback run and the power read and stuff, it goes back to that 3-3-5 when they're going to bring more guys in. When you run it with the quarterback, that just adds another, blocker, another runner for them. So then it's just another numbers game where they have more numbers. So that's kind of been hurting us. So to be able to bring someone in and have someone account for their quarterback. But also in the passing game, containing him is a big piece. And that, right, I think we had a spy on him a lot of times, but sometimes we have our D line be the spy, and a lot of times when you have a fast quarterback, they'll outrun the spy and won't be there. So it'll be really important for our D-line and linebackers in passing situations. Obviously, the linebackers need to cover and do their responsibilities, but keep eyes back on the quarterback when you have a running quarterback like he is. I don't have to watch a ton of film on him. Back in the day, like when I was playing quarterback, you kind of knew if they was going to run it when he scrambled or he was going to throw it. I don't really give that. It seems like just watching him a little bit, it seems like he likes to run it a lot when he gets out in space. So being able to have eyes on the quarterback, knowing that, hey, when he's going to scramble, he's going to like to run it, so be able to go there and make some plays. And just the D-line doing a good job. Obviously, you got to pass rush, you got to make moves, but just containing him and knowing this guy wants to get out of the pocket, and that's really how they're going to hurt us. He didn't really seem to hurt us that much staying in the pocket and doing things. Obviously, he probably has the potential to do that. But making him stay in the pocket and hurt us with his arm and just kind of containing him and getting to the quarterback that way versus giving him running lanes to go make some plays on 3rd down.
Yeah, I agree. I think going into that first matchup, I think a lot of people viewed Montana State as the better football team going into the game. Like they had just looked better. I think they had proven that they were at a certain level, and we were a little unsure about where the Griz were at. But I think coming up after that game and after the 2 playoff games, it feels like there's more of a shift that Montana is just as good as Montana State, if not better. How would you describe like how maybe that power dynamic has shifted, or are we just making stuff up just because they played a couple good games?
I mean, again, biased as a Griz fan, I kind of agree with you though. Like when you're looking at kind of both teams' resumes and how they were playing before the first game, I thought it was very even. I mean, they were playing really well. We were playing well too, but obviously it was at home. But I wouldn't disagree saying that they probably maybe looked like the better team before we had played that game. But now that after our 2 playoff games, I thought we looked
even after the loss. Like
yeah,
this, I mean, it was a tip ball.
It was
kind of decided it.
Yeah, just one play here, one play there. We easily could have won that game. I mean, shoulda, coulda, wouldas or whatever. But I mean, after what we did for South Dakota State, which I think is an absolutely amazing team that had kind of brought their quarterback back, brought their own lineman back, brought the linebacker back. I was like, wow, to get them in the first round was an absolute terrible draw for us. And I was like, oh, well, we'll find out who the Griz are this weekend. And I think we did. We found out the Griz are a hungry team, ready to get back, wanting to avenge that loss. And they played really, really well. And then come back, I was like, okay, we'll figure out how they do for South Dakota. Is that going to be a one-time game? But then they came out, South Dakota scored 52 points, and they're like, or 50 or 52, are like, this team looks legit, really good. So that's what gives me so much hope and excitement going into this matchup this weekend, saying, the Griz are playing their best ball of the season. So we just got to continue playing that well, and hopefully things go our way Saturday. And like in this game, we can talk about the game. Like I think the best teams I've ever been on going into this game, we've lost that game. And the times that I thought we maybe lose that game, we won that game. So this game is just so many different things can happen. The different way the ball drops, how the crowd interacts with everybody. Like one team can be so much better than the other. I think the other team has just as much chance to win this just when these two teams play. Well,
it's crazy. So Montana 9 times have played a team twice in the season, and 8 different times the second game was a different result than the first game. So that's good news if you're listening.
Yeah,
if you're a Griz
fan.
Griz fan,
yeah.
Well, kind of end with this, the difficulty about playing in Bobcat Stadium. Obviously, they've gotten a really good crowd, especially over the last kind of 10 years. It has really kind of grown, and it's I think the second best atmosphere to Montana in the FCS level. Just the difficulties of playing there because Montana's struggled there in recent history.
Yep, definitely a hostile environment. I mean, it's super fun. I mean, the energy is insane. Obviously, I mean, for people who might not know, the locker room is awful. The away locker room, super small, probably the worst locker room in the Big Sky Conference. I mean, it's not like that's going to really affect gameplay, but like just a little fun fact, it's awful there. But it's just going in just such a hostile environment. Every time they make a play, like just the momentum swings can be so big. And a lot of times when I played there, we had a fumble like the first drive of the game where they get the momentum, and you just feel the momentum just completely shift. And another memory to give them, not like credit, but like I said, a Griz memory for them is when we went there in 2019 when I thought we definitely had the better team there, and it was, you might help me, the big safety who's kind of the star of their team at that year. I should know this off the top of my head.
Rylan Ort?
No, it was
before that.
Before that,
not Ty Okada.
Not Ty Okada. Before him, he was Conkle.
Okay.
So Conkle got a pick over Jerry Lou McGee or whatever.
Yep.
So that was kind of to seal the game. They were beating us by a good amount, but that was kind of the seal. And they played Monet there. And I've never heard a place just feel so drowning on you. You're like, wow, this is. You felt the energy of the rivalry in that game. Obviously, we were on the wrong side of it there, but that was a defining moment in the rivalry, I think, of just like the passion here is crazy. And just, like you said, it's probably second best to the Griz, but like it's just an insane atmosphere. It's super cool to play there.
Yeah, I also feel like it's hard for the road team in the matchup of both of these because, like we kind of mentioned, no offense to the Cal Polys or the Idaho States of the world, but you don't play many road games in a good environment like that. So it's like it's just something that's new and different.
Exactly, yeah. I think I saw something on social media, I don't go there often, but like this is the first time I think the Griz have played in a true I don't know what you want to call it, like great environment. Like a lot of times the road, I don't know who they played on the road this year exactly, but like Idaho State, they went there, and we can name off the teams. But like this is the first time going into like a true hostile, packed, loud environment for them this year. So it's gonna be unique to see how they play. But like to your point, yeah, if we don't go play at Oregon or Washington, like this is the next great big game atmosphere that we could travel to, and not just at home. At home is crazy, so we're used to it, but going there, having the fans against us is something else.
Well, I'm not going to ask you for an official score prediction yet. You're going to be doing a lot of stuff with us this week, but overall, feeling good?
I do. I feel great. Yeah. I mean, the way that the Griz have been playing the last 2 weeks, obviously we got to continue doing that on Saturday, and a lot of things can happen. The ball can bounce different ways, but I think our guys they're excited. I think, losing the first game is never fun, but in a chance of, losing the first one and getting to play again, I think we're hungry. I think, hungry dogs run faster. They want this one bad. So I think the way that we're playing really well on offense and defense, we're really clicking. So if we continue to play well, I think we're going to want this bad. I think the crowd's going to be a little tough factor. I think there might be some momentum swings that we got to battle back and forth, but I think we continue playing our ball. I think we're going to get our first win there since 2015.
Yeah.
So
wow. Well, Marcus, I appreciate it, and looking forward to all the coverage with you throughout the week.
Awesome. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Talkin' Griz is sponsored by Brett Harris Insurance Company and Warriors and Quiet Waters. Thank you for watching.